Today I want to talk about the Global Challenge, which took place last week. The Global Challenge is a competition globally. Wow, crazy concept there. Where the Japanese players use it to qualify for their Japan Nationals, and ultimately it's part of their world qualification structure. However, championship point earning regions could also play and be awarded. I am not close to the top 75 in North America. I am about rank 200 at the moment, and I'm not attending any more regionals this year. We'll probably go to the North American International Championship, but basically where I'm going with that is I wasn't in this for the points necessarily. So I went in with a few goals going into this global challenge. I wanted to finish all my battles. A lot of people were aiming for a target rating to get a specific amount of championship points. And a lot of times it can be detrimental to finish all your battles if you've achieved that rating, and the game is Pokemon. Crazy stuff can happen. You can lose poorly, you can lose in a lot of different ways. So I just wanted to finish all my battles because I'm not too concerned about the amount of championship points that I earned. However, my second goal was I did want to earn championship points. Keep myself honest, keep myself responsible, and building good teams. So I wanted to build something unique for the Global Challenge. It is a best of one closed team sheet tournament, meaning that you will only play one battle against your opponent, and they do not have access to your Terra types, to your moves, anything like that. Whereas at a in-person regional or international the World Championship format is open team lists, best of three, where they can see your moves, your Terra types, and your items. But all of that is not available in this tournament. So I wanted to build something unique that took advantage of that. And I thought that the target teams to beat for the Global Challenge would be really offensive in nature. Oftentimes expanding force, ice spam, trick room, and very aggressive weather teams are what you will run into in the Global Challenge, because those have the most opportunities to roll you quickly with, one turn correctly could be the end of your run. So that was my plan going into the Global Challenge. And so I built a Terrapagos team. You can see in the background, Terrapagos. I really wanted to focus on a Terrapagos team because I thought that could have the potential to beat those target archetypes. So let's get into the battles. Okay, so we started off at a 1500 rating. I'm going to play these at 1.5 speed just because I am playing a setup Terrapagos team. So my first opponent, rated 1518, was running a Groudon Sun team with Jumpluff. You can see my game plan into anything with sleep related is my Safety Goggles Cresselia, and Safety Goggles Cresselia with Lunar Blessing can outspeed my all the Pokemon on my team except my Landorus with the Choice Scarf, and keep them healthy. So I am trying to decide in team preview where I want the Cresselia to be. And yeah, exactly. Aggressive weather off the bat is what I thought I would be facing in the Global Challenge. However, I was leaning more toward the aggressive Kyogres, but they have Urshifu on this team, and it is worth noting that Urshifu in the Global Challenge is a really good Pokemon, because from team preview, you don't know if it's going to be dark or water Urshifu. However, we can make inferences that this will be the dark Urshifu, because the water Urshifu doesn't pair really well on Sun teams. So you can see my opponent led Groudon Jumpluff, and I think they're going to just start putting me to sleep. I did note that the Groudon didn't get intimidated because it is Clear Amulet, or Did I mess that up? Let's go back. Sorry. Playing at 1.5 times speed does make me miss things. So I want to make sure that I'm giving the correct information. Okay. Groudon Jumpluff lead, and I led Grimmsnarl Landorus. So I do have Fake Out on my Grimmsnarl. Okay, so it was Clear Amulet Groudon. I did read that correctly. So I can Fake Out the Groudon, and I didn't want my Landorus to get put to sleep. And so I swap that into Cresselia, and I Fake Out the Groudon. Basically, I'm getting in my Cresselia in order to keep myself awake. So they sleep powder into the Cresselia. They see my safety goggles. And unfortunately, because of the Clear Amulet, we cannot Parting Shot the Groudon. So I'm really trying to figure out what my best course of action here is to do damage to that Groudon, because I don't have a way to mitigate the damage. So I basically just have to soak it and and deal more back or heal off what it's doing. So I decide to get in my Terapagos here. Parting Shot out, and I just launch a Moonblast at that Jumpluff because I realized that getting the Jumpluff off the field to keep myself healthy is probably the best course of action. I could have brought in Landorus here and just started going for Earthquakes, but unfortunately the Jumpluff could put me to sleep. They sleep powder again into my Cresselia, maybe not noticing that the safety goggles kept it away, and they do just launch a Heavy Slam. So I do just start keeping myself healthy, going for that Lunar Blessing. And again, I figure I could start to Calm Mind, but the Jumpluff notably can go for Encore, is seen on this set. So I didn't want to get Encore trapped into Calm Mind. So I'm only going for moves that I would be okay getting Encored into. The Groudon is slower, or is faster than both my Cresselia and my Terapagos, which is worth noting because the Lunar Blessing gave me my Terra Shell back. So now the Groudon has to continuously break my Terra Shell over and over, which is why my Cresselia, it's crucial to just barely be outspeeding my Terapagos, because you want that speed interaction to keep everything good. So now, again, they could Encore me into Flamethrower if they feel like, but I figure I can just keep myself going for the Lunar Blessings, and I do Terrastalize and go for the Terra Starstorm. Yeah, they really can't do much here. So I Terra to take away their weather, and I did decide to Terra here, even though I could keep my Terra Shell, because I didn't want the Groudon Heat Crashes to be doing boosted damage. I figured taking their Sun away now when I'm taking a knockout on their Jumpluff was my best course of action, so that none of their Pokemon in the back could easily have the Sun to come right in and take advantage of it. So we do some damage to the Groudon, and we knock out the Jumpluff, and we're basically at full HP. You know, we've lost a little bit, but now they bring in their Urshifu, and it is Urshifu Dark. So I have a couple options here. I wasn't able to get a screen up, so I want to figure out how I can do that to make the close combats do less. I can intimidate the close combats with my Landorus. You can see me swap that in. Or I could have gone for a ally switch. So I decide to actually double switch here because I did not like the position I was in. I want to get Intimidates off. I want to get a Reflect up before I start doing damage. They do go for a Wicked Blow into my Grimmsnarl, which I thought would have been an option. And this is where the Rocky Helmet comes in super clutch, because it breaks a potential Focus Sash onto the Urshifu. Now I do have Fake Out pressure, but going for the Fake Out here means Grimmsnarl could go down, so I might not get a Reflect off. But I will live another Wicked Blow, and so I figure the Fake Out is worth going for into the Groudon because either they take more Rocky Helmet chip, or I'll get my Reflect up next time, and 2 Stomping Tantrums should take out the Urshifu from this range. With my Choice Scarf, I can outspeed them. They did, however, go for a Detect, so it was best case scenario. So now I just throw up that Reflect so that my Terapagos in the back can live a close combat coming in. They decide to swap out, preserve their Urshifu, because they know that's their best answer to taking care of my Terapagos. However, they're losing health on their Ogerpon, and like I said earlier, the taking away the sun means this Ogerpon really can't do too much damage. They go down to 2 stomping. Oh, they looked like they would have gone down to 2 Stomping Tantrums, but it was a roll, so they barely live. They get off a Horn Leech, which honestly isn't the worst thing in the world. The Groudon takes some Rocky Helmet Chip while knocking out my Grimmsnarl, and so I decide now I'm in a good position. I've got my Reflect up. Their Urshifu isn't on the field. I can bring in Terapagos, keep it. I'm at full health, and go for a Terra Starstorm and bring in my Cresselia so that I can, again, intimidate the Urshifu once more once it comes back in, so that between my Reflect, Intimidate, they won't be able to do too much damage to my Terapagos. They do Spiky Shield here and go for Precipice Blades, just trying to get as much damage on the Terapagos as possible, but Groudon, notably, is known for missing Precipice Blades, and this is actually perfect that we don't KO the Groudon here, because now we can knock out both of these Pokemon now that the Ogerpon protected with a Terra Starstorm. It's not safe to bring in the Urshifu. You can see me hovering Ally Switch here, but I do just decide to go for a Lunar Blessing, keep myself as healthy as possible. Again, the Urshifu in the back will go down to a Moonblast from my Cresselia at this point. Even the Ivy Cudgel plus Precipice Blades does not much damage to me. We get some health recovered. We get the Terra Starstorm off, knock out both of their Pokemon, so the Urshifu in the back has to come in, and you can see my opponent was not too satisfied with that. So we take the first game in the Global Challenge as a win. So we can update our rating here at the bottom. All right, game 2 up against a 1486 player. So we're 1516 going up against a 1486. It is worth noting the lower your opponents are compared to you. If you lose more rating points. If you're higher rated, or if they're higher rated and you win, you gain more rating points. All right, so we are up against a team that looks incredibly difficult. Not in my target teams for the Global Challenge. We've got a Zacian team. Zacian does not like to be intimidated, but it is filled with a Galarian Zapdos, which has the Defiant ability, which says, yes, please intimidate me. And I'm realizing in team preview, the Galarian Zapdos gives my team a lot of trouble. I don't have a great way to deal with it, barring probably Cresselia, but I am panicking here. You can see I'm running out of time. I'm bringing my Cresselia and Landorus in the back, hoping I can intimidate that Zacian at a notable time. So they do lead the Zacian Galarian Zapdos into my Grimmsnarl Terapagos. So I am thinking my best opportunity is this thing is probably Choice Scarfed is what I'm thinking. So I go for a Fake Out into the Zacian, and I figure if they're Choice Scarfed, they might close combat. They might be doubling into me, or if they're not Choice Scarfed, they might go for a Behemoth Blade and close combat me. So I was thinking if I Fake Out, I keep my Terra Shell, and unfortunately the Zapdos calls that I have Fake Out. They go for a Quick Guard, block my Fake Out, so they get the Behemoth Blade KO into my Grimmsnarl. I even get a critical hit with my Terra Starstorm, but honestly, not a real good look. Now I have to bring in my Landorus. I'm like, okay, they Quick Guarded. They're not Choice Scarf, so I can come in safely, Rock Tomb them. However, the Intimidate the Defiant and an Adrenaline Orb, so their speed goes up 2 stages. This is worst case scenario for me. I can't even hit them before they can move and break my Terra Shell. I go for the Rock Tomb, hoping that yeah, it's pretty rough. I protect my Terrapagos, trying to keep my Terra Shell intact. They protect their Zacian and go for a coaching. Just even worse for me. I get the Rock Tomb KO into the Galarian Zapdos, but the damage is pretty bad. I'm locked into Rock Tomb. However, 1 speed drop won't put the Zacian slower than my Terrapagos. I go for a Rock Tomb in the Regidrago, trying to mitigate the Dragon Energy damage, and I know that most Regidrago are Choice Scarf or I'm assuming this Regidrago is Choice Scarf, so I'm hoping, because my Landorus is adamant, so it's not trained to be as fast as it possibly can be with a Jolly nature, but it is as fast as it can be with an adamant nature. So if this Regidrago is modest, I will outspeed them and have an opportunity to stay in the game. And we see a Stellar Terastallization from their Zacian. I do Terra Stellar my Terrapagos here, hoping that I can, live, because I know that even if I survive the Dragon Energy, they will probably be doubling my Terrapagos this turn. But they were not Dragon Fang, they were Choice Scarf, and they were timid on their Regidrago. So it was just worst case scenario for me. I couldn't mitigate the damage. The Terra Stellar Sacred Sword did too much. I'm locked into Rock Tomb, and my Cresselia will do bad. So I do throw in the towel there, and I take my first loss in the Global Challenge in my second game. Almost crazy how awful the first 2 turns went for me. All right, let's move on to the next game. All right, game 3. We're up against a 15-11 rated trainer. They've got the first team that I'm like, okay, I kind of planned for this. It's a rain version of Calyrex-Ice Rider with Amoonguss. So notably, like we said earlier with the Groudon matchup, when there's a sleep Pokemon, we bring Cresselia, because that's our sleep matchup. Lunar Blessing Safety Goggles keeps us alive. However, they've got the Chi-Yu and Fluttermane on this iteration of the Calyrex-Ice Rider, which isn't seen often. And the Rain Urshifu Pelipper core has been... Did I just want to make sure I changed the speed correctly? Okay, yeah. And the Urshifu Pelipper has been dying down in favor of Roaring Moon as the Tailwind setter. Sorry, just adjusting on the fly. Okay, so they lead Chi-Yu and Calyrex. So 2 good things. They likely don't know that I'm going to fake out them with Grimmsnarl, and they likely will snarl my Terrapagos, and because I'm holding the Covert Cloak item, it will not lower my special attack. So you see I lock a fake out into the Chi-Yu. I learn more as I go on that it would probably be better to fake out the Calyrex here, because I want to get a Reflect up on turn 2. However, if they just go for Glacial Lances, I lose too much value here, because it 2-hit KOs Grimmsnarl, so I can't go for a foul play here or threaten a foul play without losing my Grimmsnarl. So you can see I'm already deciding whether or not I need to just reflect or if I need to preserve the foul play on my Grimmsnarl, because I think they're just going to Heat Wave Glacial Lance. I did get a Calm Mind up, so I do go for the Terastallization Terra Starstorm. It is worth noting my Terrapagos was EV'd so that 1+1 Terra Starstorm plus a +1 Flamethrower should knock out most Terrapagoses. They are disincentivized to go for the terastallization because Terra Starstorm does super effective damage into a Pokemon that has terastallized. So they go for the Glacial Lance. However, we see it doesn't take quite as much damage from the Terra Starstorm as I thought it would. So this might be an Assault Vest version or just severely invested in its special bulk. So a Flamethrower might not quite get the KO. Luckily, with the Reflect, we lived the Snarl plus Glacial Lance. So you can see here, they withdraw their Chi-Yu, likely choiced. Into Fluttermane, we withdraw Grimmsnarl. And it is worth noting I didn't go for a Parting Shot because I am just expecting the Calyrex to be Clear Amulet. A Parting Shot there would have been the right play if I knew that they weren't Clear Amulet, but I didn't want to risk it. I bring in my Sinistcha, keep my health on my Terrapagos alive, get a Terra Starstorm into both of these Pokemon. One more Terra Starstorm should knock out that Fluttermane. However, it will take a Flamethrower to take the Calyrex-Ice from this range. The Glacial Lance activates my eject button. Behind the Reflect, I am living large. I Parting Shot the Fluttermane. And do I go for the Flamethrower KO into Calyrex? It does look like I'm going for the Flamethrower. However, the Calyrex switches out into Chi-Yu, trying to deal as much damage as possible with their Beads of Ruin active. However, we do lower their special attack. I am fine bringing in my Sinistcha and sacking that if it needs to happen to keep the health on my Terrapagos. I am at +1 special defense, so I'm feeling really good about the positioning of this game. They do just go for a Moonblast critical hit into my Sinistcha. And here's where, right when that happened, I kicked, I kicked my power cord, and yeah, on accident, I kicked my power cord. I was scrambling. I apologize for that. You don't get to see the end of the battle, but you can. Let's see. You can probably figure out what happened. I did end up winning that battle because everything was low enough. I kept my Terrapagos healthy. And yeah, we'll leave it there. So sorry for that. We'll go to the next game. Game 4, you can see because of the struggle with my last battle, I don't have an exact rating for you here, but I'm around 15-13. I won the last battle, and we're up against Calyrex-Shadow Balance with a Rain mode on it. So here they send out Calyrex Urshifu. I send out my good old trusty Grimmsnarl Terrapagos. So I don't know what I did here, but I likely faked out the Urshifu. A lot of times so in this position, they're threatening. They could break my Terra Shell with Calyrex and close combat, knock me out. So I do decide to go for a fake out into Urshifu and just set up a Calm Mind. They straight withdraw their Urshifu into Incineroar. I'm remembering this. Yep. They bring it into Incineroar, get an Intimidate off. I get a Calm Mind up. Fake out, I believe they were a Rocky Helmet Incineroar, so yes, we take some Rocky Helmet chip, and they just go for a nasty plot. Setting up in my face as I set up in their face. Now, they have fake out pressure, but we are Covert Cloak on our Terrapagos, so our Terrapagos isn't in danger. However, they could fake out our Grimmsnarl and potentially go for like a Draining Kiss. I decide to go for the double up Foul Play plus Terra Starstorm into Calyrex, because if they try to fake out my Terrapagos thinking that I'm Covert Cloak, they could get in a lot of trouble, because the double up will knock them out if whether or not they terastallize. The Foul Play is double super effective, and if they Terra, then I've got a +1 Terra Starstorm. That's super effective. And if they protect and just try to parting shot, you know, I figure it's not the end of the world. I get some damage off onto Incineroar, and I'm threatening the same play next turn. I can parting shot, bring in Sinistcha, so I don't take too much damage from a close combat. However, they think that their fake out pressure is too much for me, that I'm just going to protect my Terapagos, and they just nasty plot again, trying to boost up as much as possible. So we get the Terra Starstorm off, do have to in their Incineroar. We see that our Grimmsnarl is faster than their Incineroar. We get the foul play off into Calyrex-Shadow, and they roar me. That's crazy. So they really thought I was going to protect. Roar Incineroar, really cool call. If they had protected their Calyrex there, it honestly could have gotten really rough for me. But again, they didn't think that I was just going to go for it. So now they bring their booster energy, Raging Bolt. I don't know why I was going to say Roaring Moon. It's Raging Bolt, the better dragon type. Sorry, Roaring Moon. So we just parting shot that out because they can't boost too much. We bring out our Sinistcha into Okidogi because they're really not threatening too much damage given our Assault Vest and our great typing. If they knock off into Okidogi, it won't do too much damage. And we are free to just bring right back in our Terapagos. We're already Terra'd, so we don't mind losing either our Covert Cloak or taking a little bit of health from Thunderbolt. Does a good chunk, and they do knock off our Assault Vest with Okidogi. It is also worth noting that they have not Terastallized, but if they do Terastallize, we are hitting them with super effective Terra Starstorms. So I believe it is free to just go for a Terra Starstorm. My Okidogi is a little faster than my Terapagos, so the Drain Punch, if the Incineroar Terra Ghosts, then it'll just go down to the Terra Starstorm. So the Drain Punch allows me to be at full health and get a single target Terra Starstorm into the Raging Bolt. We do take a little damage from the Rocky Helmet, but at this point we've got all 4 of our Pokemon. We've done a lot of damage. We've taken down their Restricted. They've only got an Urshifu in the back. So I'm feeling pretty good about how this is going. It is worth noting I don't have a Reflect up. Okidogi does take a good chunk of damage from the Thunderbolt now that we've lost our Assault Vest. So the Raging Bolt is likely very invested. We bring in our Sinistcha here because it is safe to take either Surging Strikes or Close Combat, whatever they decide to fire off into my Terapagos. Or if they try to get cheeky and just send a Surging Strikes into my Okidogi, this may allow me to survive. And we saw from the previous turn that my Okidogi is faster than their Raging Bolt, so we will be able to move before them, which is why I thought this was a good play. And then we keep ourselves safe in the subsequent turns with Rage Powder. So we can just Terra Starstorm. They do try to be cheeky and take out my Okidogi, but the additional health from the Hospitality from Sinistcha keeps me alive enough to get off the high horsepower into the Raging Bolt. It doesn't knock out. Raging Bolt's the most broken Pokemon in the world. Has all the bulk, all the damage. They get a Thunderbolt Para into my Sinistcha, going for whatever win cons they can. This does activate my eject button. So I get to bring out either my Grimmsnarl or Terapagos. I decide to go for Grimmsnarl, give myself some fake out pressure. I can fake out the Urshifu like we saw last turn. My Okidogi is faster than their Raging Bolt, so I can knock that out if they don't go for Protect. And we'll see if that's what I do. Or, alternatively, I could try to call a Protect here and just double the Urshifu. I don't believe that's necessary. You can see I'm testing all my options here, considering bringing in the Sinistcha because I have fake out pressure. But again, I don't think there's any reason to overthink this. Going for the fake out going for the Drain Punch. They do detect the Urshifu, blocking the Fake Out. And they do protect their Raging Bolt, again, blocking the Fake Out. So, the good news is, they can't do much to my Grimmsnarl without taking a lot of damage from Rocky Helmet if they decide to go for that. With Urshifu, they likely could go for a Thunderclap into my Okidogi, so I'm deciding whether I can play around that. I can Parting Shot either of these Pokemon. I can set up a Reflect. Foul Play will probably take out the Raging Bolt from this range. Foul Play could break a Focus Sash on the Urshifu. They do decide to go for a Terastallization here onto their Urshifu into Terra Stellar. This is the, I would say, the most common Terra type as of late on Urshifu, particularly the Focus Sash variant. So they do knock out my Okidogi with Thunderclap. And if they do go for a Terra Stellar boosted Surging Strikes into my Grimmsnarl, it will break their Focus Sash, which is what they go for, because they will get hit with this Rocky damage, Rocky Helmet damage. They'll take all 3 hits. My Grimmsnarl will barely survive. And they've taken about half damage from the Rocky Helmet, which will put them in range of a Terra Starstorm. So I'm thinking it is pretty safe to just bring in Terapagos here. I have my Reflect up. I can go for a Parting Shot into the Urshifu, lower its attack one more stage so that it has to get through my Reflect and my Parting Shot to get the close combat damage. Their Raging Bolt does go for a Thunderclap. It's at -1. It does a decent amount of damage, but I think that with all the damage mitigation I have on this Urshifu, despite it being Terra Stellar boosted, I should be able to live this close combat because I get this extra health with my Sinistcha. So Grimmsnarl and Sinistcha really keeping the turtle alive. Brings me to 200 health. We see the giant close combat come into the turtle. Do they get a critical hit? No, they do not. They do just over half of my remaining health. Lower their defenses, and the Terra Starstorm knocks out both of my opponent's Pokemon. So you can see there, Terapagos. One of the big weaknesses of Terapagos is that it can't Terastallize away from a fighting weakness, which is why you'll see most teams here running 1 or even 2, at least 1 fighting type, but a lot of teams carry 2 to 3 fighting types just because of the threat that this turtle is getting out of hand. But you can see with my ghost types, Rage Powder, Ally Switch Cresselia, my Reflect, and my, what am I going for? Let's pause that. My Reflect and my Parting Shots, I can keep it alive and do enough damage to those fighting types so that they can't hurt me. And let's go into the last battle for the episode, battle number 5. Game 5, we are up against 16-17, very high rated for this low in the tournament, against Chuppa Cross, one of the most well-known players in North America, using Dondozo Tatsugiri, what he is best known for. So we see Miraidon, Chiyu, Dondozo Tatsugiri, Dragonite, and Fluttermane. I'm trying to decide how I should go for this. Yo, Simpierso, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you are enjoying the content. So I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Very scary team. I think that Grimmsnarl and Sinistcha are very important for beating Dondozo. However, Fluttermane and Chiyu are both scary for Sinistcha, so we'll see if I decide to still bring it. I do. And my Choice Scarf Landorus. Notably, Dondozo can get scary, but between Fake Out and Reflect and my Rocky Helmet, my Parting Shot, Intimidate, and Sinistcha's great typing into Dondozo's moves, I can kind of Fake Out, cycle, Rocky Helmet them if they ever decide to go into the Mega Dondozo. We'll see if Chuppa even decides to bring it to the battle. All right, so they lead with Miraidon Flutter Mane. Likely the Flutter Mane is booster energy, in this instance, booster speed. And the Miraidon. So we do have our Fake Out pressure. However, they've got Flutter Mane to pressure our Grimmsnarl. So is it worth going for the Fake Out to lose all, if not most of our health on the Grimmsnarl? Is the question that I need to ask myself. Let's boost up the speed a little bit because that's what we're doing in this episode. So I tried to get a little cheeky here because I think that they're going to taunt my Terapagos. I just go for a Protect, and I believe that the Miraidon is Choice Specs, as most of them are. I go straight for a Parting Shot, bring in my Landorus, hoping to catch an electric move from the Miraidon onto this slot. So whatever it locks itself into, they go for the Moonblast. Because of the Parting Shot, it's not a 2-hit KO, and they go for an Electro Drift. So I'm like, sweet, the Miraidon is locked into Electro Drift. They have to switch in the face of my Landorus because they can't 2-hit knockout me. So I am deciding I can go straight for a Stomping Tantrum, deal some huge damage into them, or more than likely, because they're switching, I can go for a U-turn and try to capitalize on the momentum. I bring in my Sinistcha, trying to survive an Icy Wind with my Hospitality health boost. They do go for the Icy Wind. And I'm like, sweet, they're locked into Electro Drift. They can't knock me out. So even though now the Miraidon outspeeds me, I should be fine. So if they go for an Electro Drift into this slot, then they'll just break my Terra Shell. However, they go for a Dazzling Gleam. It's not Choice Spec. So we become a victim of the Global Challenge. We didn't go for the Stomping Tantrum into the Miraidon because we thought that it would swap out. So the Flutter Mane is in range of a Terra Starstorm, but the momentum is not quite in our favor anymore because of losing the health on our Landorus, putting it in range of any other move. They have the speed advantage. I do go straight for the Terra Starstorm, Terastallized, trying to knock out the Flutter Mane. I do want to keep my Landorus around because I want to have something that outspeeds the Miraidon once this Flutter Mane is gone. A little funny visual glitch when Sinistcha comes in to heal Terapagos and you've Terastallized that turn, the health bar will change before you Terastallize. So that's what you saw there happen. Terra Starstorm, they Shadow Ball, calling that the Sinistcha might be switching into that slot, and a Dazzling Gleam. We live on just a little bit of health. We get the Terra Starstorm, and it doesn't knock out the Flutter Mane. Chuppa's got just enough bulk to make this annoying, because now I was hoping I could go for a Rage Powder this turn on the Miraidon. Now my Landorus does not outspeed the Miraidon because Flutter Mane can always get a move off first. So I have to lose a bit of ground by spending one more turn to knock out the Flutter Mane, which means they get another move to hit me with Miraidon. They get some more damage off. And they go for the Volt Switch. So imagine that they weren't able to get that Volt Switch for momentum. They don't get their electric terrain without hard swapping and the Terra Starstorm. We will see if this Dragonite is multi-scale, which it is based on the damage that it did. So we can at least intimidate them. However, they can always extreme speed me now if they have it. I am trying to decide whether or not they do. I bring in my Landorus to at least threaten the Miraidon and intimidate the Dragonite. I can swap out potentially, but I'm like, they don't have extreme speed, or they're going to call me switching out. So I protect Terapagos, anticipating a double up, but they do just go for the extreme speed into my Landorus. This does give me fake out pressure next turn because they are multi-scale instead of inner focus. I can fake out the Dragonite, so I'm trying to get as much information. And because the Dragonite was shown, I now know that they do not have Dondozo, Tatsugiri in the back, or at least they can only have Dondozo or Tatsugiri. I fake out the Miraidon. At this point, because of the damage done, I have all but confirmed that it is Assault Vest. It is because it took so little damage from my last Terra Starstorm. So I know my only way of winning this is trying to get to live an Electro Drift and get a big Terra Starstorm crit. So I protect, again, anticipating the double up the extreme speed into my Grimmsnarl, breaking or taking some damage to the Rocky Helmet. However, they doubled my Grimmsnarl, which I did not think they would. I thought they would double my Terapagos this turn, which is why I thought I'd go for a free Reflect, but they doubled my Grimmsnarl, putting me in basically the worst possible position. Now my Terapagos has, I have to hope that I crit both of the opposing Pokemon with this Terra Starstorm, if I even survive the Electro Drift, which I do not. So Chuppa gets the better of me with a really cool team. Assault Vest Miraidon putting in a lot of work, and bringing me down to a final record of 3-2. And we'll see if I can end up 1521 rating after the first 5 battles. So we'll lock that up for today. This will be 9 episodes of 5 battles each. Hope you enjoyed the analysis. We faced a lot of different teams. I think we had a different restricted for each battle. So really cool that we got to test our team and show a lot of the cool tech that I planned for the Global Challenge.